Hi, I'm Suresh Venkat in conversation with Rishi Jaitly, India Market Director for Twitter.
Great
Rishi,
to be here.
a lot of other brands use Twitter to market themselves. It would seem to me that Twitter will market itself. What are you doing here in India?
Well, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Our number one objective in India is to reach every Indian.
Okay.
We think that we have a service that is designed for every Indian to connect to information, to connect with one another, and share their own view. Indians love their media. Twitter is full of rich media. Twitter was invented on SMS. India is mobile first. And so in India, we're working with television broadcasters, with sports federations, with journalists, with politicians to give Indians the most content-first experience possible. We're also trying to bring Twitter to where Indians connect information. Twitter SMS, Twitter TV, Twitter for your DTH, Twitter for your remote control, many examples to share there.
What does all that mean? Twitter for your TV, Twitter for SMS?
So on Airtel DTH, if you have Airtel DTH, you can pick up your remote control, press the green button, and you'll see tweets on TV, and you can use your remote control to engage with Twitter. Twitter missed call. You can actually dial a phone number now, call a Twitter account in India, and receive tweets via SMS. This has been used by MTV India during Rock the Vote, by Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, Times Now, many people.
So you're a mobile first, but not a mobile only platform.
That's right, but it is important to be mobile first. I think we're the first company from Silicon Valley that was built on mobile, built on SMS. My first tweets were on SMS. Jack Dorsey, our inventor's first tweets were on SMS. And in India, that's an important point to make if you're trying to reach every Indian and grow. And that's what we're trying to do here.
You have about 30 million users in India, give or take?
Well, we don't talk about country numbers at an aggregate, and really in any country, but India is one of our fastest growing markets now. It is one of the more strategic audience growth markets in the world for us. And
what are the big drivers you think in India?
Well,
for Twitter, other than mobile penetration?
Yeah, I mean in India, look, it's media, right? In India, people love media, so it's news. People come to Twitter to connect to news, political news firstly. The election this year was a period where we saw a surge of users coming to our platform. Cricket. It's clear that cricket is the national sport here.
Obsession.
You can see it on Twitter. We see it. And then icons. In India we have we look at our icons in a way and we respect them and revere them. So when guys like Rajinikanth join Twitter, or we join him, we follow him, I should say, you can see that on our platform. So people join Twitter to connect to news, to cricket, to icons, but also comedy, but also traffic, but also events. And more. So those have been some of the drivers for us this year in particular.
Clearly, with the rate at which you're growing in India, a lot of brands are going to express interest in Twitter. Tell us about some of your conversations with Indian brands.
Well, if you're a brand, the opportunity on Twitter is to be human, to personify yourself.
Do brands see that though?
Well, the journey on Twitter does begin with education, right? Everybody loves to kind of get to the cool campaign, but it all begins with investing in your voice on Twitter, speaking in the first person, engaging with your customers. We understand this is new, but we've seen incredible traction with a number of brands from the media space to the auto to the telecom space. I think, but as I said, the number one objective for us here is to build a big consumer audience. India's got more than 500 million unique mobile phone users, and Twitter is accessible everywhere. It's accessible on every single device. And if you think of Twitter as the world's town square, India's town square, the opportunity for a brand is to participate, be in that town square, participate in every conversation. And we're delighted to see their response.
And Twitter by its very nature is content agnostic. It's mostly content generated by users. Why then do you have a head of politics for Twitter in India? What does the person do?
You're right in that our users define the use case of Twitter. Country by country, people use the platform for different reasons. We don't presuppose how you should use Twitter. That said, what we try to do on the platform is respond to users. How are they using the platform? And then continue to fuel that experience. In India, as I've told you, the data tells us that our users are coming to Twitter to follow the news. They're coming to Twitter to follow political news, cricket, entertainment,
Bollywood.
And so there are people on our team, and we take this very seriously. There are people on our team at Twitter whose job it is to drive experiences on Twitter with government organizations, with journalists, with news organizations, with film studios, with television broadcasters that enhance and meet our audience's interest where it is. So when Sachin is retiring from cricket, we worked with the BCCI and Star to create a campaign where you could send a tweet to Sachin and get back a personalized experience. when news organizations are running visualizations on screen, or a show dedicated called the Twitter Debate Show, we work with them to make that happen because we know our users have come to Twitter for that.
That's part of the Twitter experience.
That's right. We'd like to listen and see how our users are using the platform and ensure we're scaling up and providing those experiences.
Any brands that stand out, do you think, are doing a great job of using Twitter in India?
Red Bull's a fantastic brand on Twitter. I mean, they're in the business of storytelling. Mahindra has done a fantastic job on Twitter using Vine videos to tell stories in a personal way. Make My Trip has done a great job on Twitter talking to people. Indigo, I mean, you got to look at Indigo Airlines. I mean, they're a case study off Twitter as well. But the way they've used Twitter during the Kashmir floods, for instance, to talk to users, drive relief. And you asked about my head of politics. Well, his job has been to work with the Indian Army, right? He's been working with the Indian Army to make sure they're able to use Twitter to find SOS tweets, to publish information disproportionately. It creates value for them, and it certainly creates value for our users. Our users are everything. We're in the business of serving our users.
So Twitter has spawned a lot of businesses, many of them legit and some not so legit. For instance, there are businesses that promise you instant followership. We'll get you 1 million followers, we'll get you 1 million retweets, 1 million favorites. How do you view this phenomenon, click farming?
It's super important to note this is an internet issue. It's not a Twitter issue.
It is not a Twitter issue.
This has been an issue on the internet for a long time, right? 6 months ago, YouTube deleted billions of views from videos from prominent artists, right? Spam, objectionable content, hacky behavior has been on the internet since when I worked at Google.
You face it, YouTube faces it,
Everybody
Facebook faces it, Instagram faces it.
Everybody organizes around it, right? You organize with human beings whose job it is to attack it and work it manually, and then you have software that it gets smarter and smarter at algorithmically removing spam from the system.
But it's something you take seriously at
We
Twitter.
take it so seriously that we talked about it in our S1 when we went public.
Okay.
We described it as something we take seriously, just like every other internet platform.
Right.
And but the good news is that the vast majority of the conversation on our platform is positive, is productive, is about bringing the world closer together. And in India, we've just been delighted, particularly this year. You can feel it, how people are using Twitter now, not just in the news, cricket, Bollywood sense, right?
In all sorts of ways.
As a platform for jokes, for comedy, for humor, for traffic, for blood donations. There's a Twitter account that tweets just blood donations. AB positive blood needed in Chennai. 10 minutes later, it's retweeted by 1,000 people. We've got the blood, thank you. And that's why we're here.
Do you have any competition in India?
Well, name for me another platform that is live, public, and conversational at once, right? Content on Twitter is live, right? 75% of the tweets you view have been published in the prior hour. Almost all of the content on Twitter is public.
So, short answer.
All of the content on Twitter is conversational. If you've got another platform, not just in India, but in the world, that at scale is live, public, and conversation, I'd love to learn about it.
Facebook would be the closest obvious competitor,
look, again,
but it doesn't have all the characteristics of what you said.
What we do is we invest in what differentiates us, which is this idea of the world's largest platform at scale that, again, is three things. We're live, we're public, and conversational. And that's worked to date. I think we're doing fine, and we're going to continue to invest there.
Let me ask you a couple of questions about Social Media Week.
Sure.
Clearly an idea whose time has come in India. Are you enjoying your time here at Social Media Week?
You know, candidly, I'm new to it. I might be surprising to folks, but schedules didn't work out last year, didn't allow me to attend. I've participated in, of course, many other events here, but I'm very excited that India has embraced the idea of a week where companies and platforms and users come together to talk about the future and the past and present.
Have you learned anything today? Any piece of content and wisdom? Anything that surprised you?
Well, I've learned that people take Twitter personally. One of the things about Twitter that we see in the context of social media, in the context of the internet, is that I don't think there's any other platform that people take so personally. It's theirs, and that means a lot to us. When people find something on Twitter that they like or don't like, they take it personally. And the question you asked earlier about spam and all that, again, it comes down to we are a platform about you, and because we're mobile first, and the passion and energy I see when I tell people I work for Twitter is something that we take seriously. We take seriously our obligation to get to everybody and be accessible and be present and walk the walk.
So if you were to advise Social Media Week on what directions they should grow in the future, would you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would think through the intersection of social media and traditional media, which I think we are. I would also think through mobile. As I described, there's a tendency to think of social media as sort of a website in the corner or a digital app somewhere. But in this country, in order to be relevant, you've got to think through eclectic bases of mobile devices and network experiences and quality here. It's what we do. We meet Indians where their phones are, what kinds of devices they have. And so if we can continue to be smart about how we think about the Indian mobile environment, Mobile Media Week, right? I think that's the kind of thing that would excite me. And then how might we work together to market the value of social media to people, right? This idea that everybody's on social media is false, right? The internet is nascent in India. The internet is nascent. And I think if we work together to tell people the story of why this is helpful every day of your life, we'd love to talk about that.
A final question to Rishi.
Sure.
Let's talk about Indian languages in Twitter.
Sure.
What's your engagement going to be with non-English languages in India? I see a lot of Hindi tweets.
Yeah,
I don't see any other language yet.
Well, again, some of these issues are in our control, some of them aren't, right? The ability to type in Hindi or
multiple
Indic
languages
isn't a Twitter issue. It's an issue that at the device and operating
interface
layer,
issue, I
right?
guess.
So that's not something. The good news is that Google and Samsung and plenty of other OEMs and OS layer operators are working on that. The good news is Twitter now today renders tweets in every Indic language.
Okay.
Right. So if you are able to type in Gujarati, Bengali, Tamil, etc.,
you can carry it.
Twitter will display it properly, and it's why you're now seeing Hindi tweets properly. Of course, our Prime Minister the other day tweeted in Japanese. He of course has tweeted in Gujarati before, but we do see tweets in Indic languages, but also people tweeting in Indic using Roman characters. But of course it's important, and it's why we're spent a lot of time working with partners across the spectrum, from news, politics, government, cricket, entertainment, to not just publish in English but across all languages.
Rishi Jaitly, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you. It's been great to be here.